Hi, welcome to the Rod Chapel Show. Thanks for joining us. This is a special edition. We have the candidates for county sheriff who have joined us here in Cole County. In the Rod Chapel Show, we make an attempt to bring the law to citizens. And literally today we've done that. I want to thank John Wheeler and Gary Hill for joining us today. John and Gary, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll do a couple of segments if that's all right. Mm-hmm. First, I'd just like for you guys to introduce yourselves, tell us about yourselves, just as much as you want to share, and then we may ask one a real question of why do you want this job? Go ahead, buddy.
You want me to start?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my name is John Wheeler. I'm with the Cole County Sheriff's Department. I'm the Chief Deputy. I've been there for about 11 years. I was with the Jefferson City Police Department for about 7 years before that, and then I was down in Sykeston, Department of Public Safety, for about 3 years, 3.5 years down there. So been a cop for a little over 20 years. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration through Columbia College. Mm-hmm. My hometown, I was raised in southeast Missouri, but I consider Jeff City my hometown. We moved here. Most of my adult life's been here. My parents followed me here. My brother and sister followed me here. All three of my daughters went to school here at Jefferson City Public School. Both of my parents passed away here. And then here in December, of course, my wife, I laid her to rest here in Jeff City also. So I think I've earned the right to call Jeff City my hometown. So I have 3 daughters, a grandson, mm-hmm. Fat Boy Harrison, which I'm not supposed to call him that. But it's really a really good family. I'm really proud of all of them. They're doing a really good job. My daughter Emily works for J.P. Morgan, mm-hmm. and that's up in Kansas City. And then my youngest daughter, Rachel, she's a special needs daughter. Mm-hmm. She lives at home with me, but she's a big-time Special Olympian, gold medal winner.
Yeah, excellent.
So yeah, it's very nice. So we wouldn't be able to do most of that stuff if it wasn't for this community. The way they helped us out, helped us with our daughters. Mm-hmm. God bless them for being there for me and my family whenever we went through my parents passing away, and of course my wife. So mm-hmm. That's a little bit who I am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Gary?
Hi. Well, my name is Gary Hill. I'm originally from Muskogee, Oklahoma. I come by Jefferson City through Lincoln University. I graduated from Lincoln University. A bachelor's degree in criminal justice from there. My master's degree is from Columbia College, same as John's. It's a master's degree in administration of criminal justice. I came here through Lincoln University. I made Jefferson City my home. Me not being from Jefferson City is not my choice, but it was my choice to stay here and raise my family. I've raised all of my children here. My daughter is currently at the University of Pittsburgh. She graduated from Jefferson City High School. My son and my daughter currently right now, my son's going to a different school, but my daughter goes to Pioneer Trails. She's 8 years old. My wife and I, we own a business along with Emily Mildrum and her husband. It's called Heads Up Spa and Salon. We've owned that business for roughly around 8 years here in Cole County. It's doing good. Been with the sheriff's office for 18 years. I've worked for 4 different sheriffs, 4 different administrations. Each one of those administrations, I've either been promoted or placed into a position of trust. So that was 4 different administrations that thought I was somebody or could be somebody. Mm-hmm. Cole County Sheriff's Office is my family. My family, my mom and dad live in Augusta, Georgia, sister and brother in Atlanta, and my rest of my family lives in the Kansas City area. So the men and women at the Cole County Sheriff's Office, including Captain Wheeler over here, are my family. That's pretty much all I know. I'm running for sheriff for me with the things that I've done at the sheriff's office as far as working in the different divisions and coming up through the ranks. For me, it's a natural progression of my career to actually go ahead and run for sheriff. Mm-hmm. It was one of those. It wasn't a decision that was made lightly in the sense of because you're running and then you're running kind of against your boss. So it was one of those things that we had to sit down and look at. And one of the reasons why I want to run for sheriff is simple fact of the matter. I want to put my spin on the way things are done at the sheriff's office. Not that things are done bad. It's just that each person running for sheriff, including Randy Damp, has their own way of doing things and want to put their own personal touch on the way they think things should be run at that office, and that the sheriff has that option. Unlike a city administrator or police chief, they answer to the administrator. The sheriff answers to the public, to the citizens of Cole County. And so I'm just wanting to put my touches on the way we do things at the sheriff's office.
Excellent, excellent. And John, why do you want to be sheriff?
You know, whenever I took the job for chief deputy, Sheriff White contacted me and wanted me to be chief deputy. I did not make that decision lightly, because I was working at JCPD. I liked where I was working. I liked what I was doing. But I felt like I could make a difference coming up to the sheriff's department. And when I made the decision to come to be the chief deputy, I made the decision to run for sheriff right then. So I knew in 11 and a half years ago that when Sheriff White asked me to be his chief deputy, I knew I was going to try to be sheriff, because I think, and Gary said it best, there's been different administrators that's put different spins and has taken the department in different areas. I think that Sheriff White has brought it to where it is right now, which is good. I think we're doing a good job where we're at. But I think I'm ready to move the department on further from where it's at now. I think that my experience working with Sheriff White, of course, and then considering I've seen county law enforcement, I've been with municipal law enforcement. I was a firefighter also down in Sykeston. So, and then of course 30 years military. So I have a plethora of experience that I think that I'm bringing to it that will, I don't know, I think it gives me a different vision or a different view of where the direction of the department should go. Excellent,
excellent. And that probably raises a question for the public. Where is Sheriff White? He's decided not to run again, right? Okay, so that takes care of that.
He's retiring.
He's retiring after a long and distinguished career, yes, I'll add, in our community. Yes. Randy Damp was invited to join us. He wasn't able to be here today. We may be able to have him at some other time, but I thought it was important to get these issues out in front of the public while we can. Let me ask you, what do you think it's funny to have two people from the same department who literally work side by side daily. And so this is a good-spirited question, and I'll preface it with, one of the things I've noticed in your race is that it is not full of a bunch of that negative stuff that we see in so many of the other races. You'd swear that none of the candidates in those other races are fit to do anything. And so let me commend you both for running a really good campaign in that respect. Absolutely. With that in mind, what do you think differentiates each of you from the other and from Randy to make you a good candidate for sheriff?
I'll let you go first. I went first last time.
It's always going to be philosophies and ideologies. And my focus has always been on crime suppression. And the reason why my philosophy has always been on crime suppression is because it is impossible to stop all crime, especially when you have limited manpower, limited resources to do. So the best that we can do, as far as my platform is on what we do, is to go out and go after the bad guy. Right. Keep him on his toes. Keep him to the point to where, he's so worried about law enforcement, worrying about us, because we know who's out. We know we work well with probation, parole. We work well with Jefferson City Police Department, Highway Patrol, DDCC. We know who we need to be looking for, and those are the people that we try to go and keep on their toes. Because when they're worried about us, they're not worrying about stealing stuff from people, and that's what we try to do with the resources we have. As far as what makes me and John different, well, John happens to be taller than me, for one. But
we're not going to talk about weight.
Thank God.
There's not many differences between John and I. Other than John's been there 11 years, I've been there 18 years. John has a bachelor's degree. I one-upped him and went and got my master's degree. I have some other training that I received throughout the department. He has training that he's received through the military and vice versa. So we're going to be different in on the philosophies on what's going to be the most important to us. I went up through the ranks at Cole County Sheriff's Office. through a jail deputy, patrol deputy, sergeant, assistant jail administrator, back to a patrol sergeant, and then promoted to lieutenant. So other than that, those are the only difference as far as I could think of me and John. We work together every day. And so in the sense of that, regardless of whether I'm running against Captain Wheeler, he's still my captain. He's still my boss. And the public deserves for me to be able to go to work and still do my job as well as him do his job without politics being involved in that, because we always put the citizens first. And that's one of the things that me and him both agree on. Citizens got to come first. All this politic and trying to be sheriff has to come secondary. And, you know, it would be hard if we didn't have the relationship that we have as far as families and things like that. It'd be hard if I thought John was a bad person. And it would really be easy to go out here and smear his name and him smear my name. But that's not what we're about. John got asked to be chief deputy. So since he got asked to be chief deputy, I knew when I started 18 years ago, eventually, hopefully I could be sheriff one day. And so I just worked my way up to that. At the end of the day, it's up to the voters to decide on, you know, who's going to be the next sheriff, regardless of whether whose education is more, who has the more endorsement, who has this. It's up to the voters. And all we can do is just put our information out there about each other, about the other candidates. I always tell people, Captain Wheeler has a website, Randy Danf has a website, Gary Hill has a website, because I want people to make an informed decision. I don't want their decision to be based off of Facebook solely or a friend or a family member. Go read each of the profile of the candidates and see which candidate best closely fits you, your views, and what you believe in, and what you think the sheriff of first-class county should have.
Amen. Thanks.
I'm going to agree with him. It's ideology and philosophy. I think that's one of the big things that each one of us is going to bring different to the organization. Mine's relationships. I believe in relationships building. I believe that is the cornerstone to a good organization. Is if you have good relationships within the community, then when something bad happens, it's easy for the community to help you because you have those relationships. I also think that whenever I became chief deputy, Gary came to me after we promoted him to lieutenant, he came to me within 2 weeks and said, whenever the boss is done running, I will run for sheriff. And so we knew from all along, from the beginning, we knew that he and I were going to be running against each other. So this is no surprise. So there was no surprises there. I knew he was going to do it. It doesn't bother me because this is the democratic process. I'm going to tell you it's a lot harder than what it looks to run for office. But it is an amazing experience that I've been through. It's talking to the people. Again, I've built more relationships probably within the past year and a half because of me running for sheriff than I have in the whole other time. And probably part of it is because my job as chief deputy is to stay in the office and run the office. You know, that's my job, is to run the office. So I have to stay in quite a bit. But with this, I'm able to go out more and talk with the public some more, and I really have enjoyed that much of it. And the other weird thing, you said it was weird having two people running. If elected as sheriff, you're looking at my chief deputy.
Hey, how about
so that we've already worked that, and same thing for him. So
that's great.
We work well together. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And the other last thing I was going to tell you, because he was talking about philosophies, we approach problems different. Gary and I do, but we come to the same end. So the end game is the same. We just go a different direction, and that's good because then you hear different ways to work a problem. You hear different ways to build on relationships. And so between the two of us, it's the same relationship I have with the sheriff. You know, he and I think a lot alike. The end game's always going to be the same, but we're going to get there a little different. Not good or bad, just different.
Just different.
So.
And that's the last word on law enforcement here in Cole County. We're going to get to the right solution at the right time. We've got two candidates here with us today. We have a couple more questions, so we hope that you'll be able to join us in the next segment of the Rod Chappell Show.
I'm Ann Littlefield.
I'm Claudia Kehoe.
And we're here to represent the Food Bank of Central and Northeast Missouri. Over half of the Missouri students qualify for free or reduced lunches at school during the week.
But on the weekends, many children go home to empty refrigerators.
The food bank provides buddy packs, backpacks full of nutritious food, so over 6,600 hungry children have food on the weekends.
But the need is much greater. Will you help?
When you adopt a buddy, you reach out to a child in need. Your 50 cents a day will make a difference in a child's life.
Visit www.sharefoodbringhope.org or call the food bank, 573-474-1020 to adopt a buddy.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode of the Rod Chappell Show. Today we've got candidates for the Cole County Sheriff position, and I'm delighted to say that we have Gary Hill and John Wheeler here with us today. The third candidate, Randy Danf, was not able to join us, but we wanted to go ahead and get this information out in front of the public. We've talked in the previous episode about who we are, right? Who are the candidates? Who's Gary? Who's John? Why are we running for office? Let's talk now about some of the duties of the office. What does the sheriff do?
I'll go first this time. The sheriff's the administrator of the office of sheriff, which constitutes the 4 divisions. By state statute, Chapter 57, it says that upon taking office, he becomes the chief law enforcement officer of the county. Okay, now underneath that, on that same RSMO statute, it states that we have to serve civil process, we have to patrol the roads, and we have to have a jail. So there's 3 things that we have to do as a sheriff's department, and sometimes that gets problematic because there's only so much money, there's only so much manpower. So constantly, as an administrator, I would need to make sure that I have people in place that are fluid with the issues that come at hand, because patrol division can never take care of patrol division all the time. Civil can never take care of civil all the time. Jail, because we don't have enough staff. Sometimes we move back and forth. If they're moving a prisoner to the jail, then you need the people in place and an administrator be able to know that they're going to be sending a patrol division deputy over there to help with that issue until it's resolved and we can pull them back. So it's a constant struggle between the administering of the county and of the funds. Our funds, the budget that we get, we have to turn a budget in August, end of August, for the budget for the following year. Okay. So it's hard sometimes to write a budget for the following year 3 months ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So when we write the budget, then it's up to the administrator to make sure where the funds are going to go. You're going to have each of the division heads are going to come to you and they're going to tell you that they need it here, here, and here. And then it's up to the administrator to look at it and go, all right, who needs it? Right. And who wants it? Yeah. Right. So there's a difference. So mm-hmm. It's got to be quantitative. So there's different things that person has to be, and then he has to be out in the public too, and he has to let the individuals, everybody out in the public needs to know that they can always talk to the sheriff. He has to be open. He has to be available at all times. So mm-hmm. It's a very strenuous, exacting job. So especially if you ask Sheriff White, that's one of the reasons why he's wanting to retire, because he's had enough.
2 terms? How many terms is Sheriff? 3. 3. Well, at some point. He's earned his retirement. You do get to retire, yes. Right? Gary, would you add anything to that?
Nope, other than the fact that, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement official in the county, kind of like what John said, and the sheriff's responsibility is to make sure that he upholds all the citizens of Cole County's rights, and that's from other law enforcement agencies, federal entities, federal government. That is the sheriff's job. That is a lot of people, and I'm sure John will attest to this, we've been approached by many constitutionalist people that have nothing but questions concerning the Constitution and how well will the sheriff stick up for their rights, because a lot of people still believe that the sheriff is the only true law enforcement official in the county. And a lot of people still believe in that kind of thing. So you have to be the right person. It's like I said, you have to be a people person. You have to be that person who can talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by anybody, I mean you talk to the janitor the same way you talk to the CEO. Right. That's who the sheriff has to be.
Right. Fundamental respect for citizens.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That's good. That's good. What do you think the biggest needs of the sheriff department are now?
The biggest needs is being able to leverage technology. Being able to leverage technology for the patrol division, the vehicles out in the car, that is right now the biggest need. We're always going to need people. And we could definitely add a couple more guys to patrol. And what a lot of people don't understand is the more people we add to patrol, then the more crime we're able to find. So it's not like those guys won't be busy. It's just those things that we're missing now because we don't have the manpower. We'll start catching those things now. And so more people possibly get fines, tickets, go to jail, and things like that. As far as leveraging technology, we just need to get better systems as far as CAD and things. But the problem with that is money. Everything that we do costs money. And so we have to go to the county commission and ask them for money. And a lot of times we won't get all of it. We'll get some. We'll be able to do a little bit here, a little bit there, and maybe in a 5-year strategic plan, we'll be able to outfit all the cars and things like that. We have to get back out to, we have to figure out a way to get back out to our rural outreach programs. We get so busy and inundated with calls for service that we try to incorporate community policing in with every time a deputy makes contact with a citizen. Right now, we have the posse and the reserve program that we're going to try to, bolster, make a little bit better, and being able to get out and talk to some of these people out in our rural areas. We run into a big problem with that because the deputies are constantly coming and going. We have to answer every 911 hang-up call. We have to answer every look for cars going the wrong way, a lot of traffic stuff, getting animals, cattle out of the roadway and off the railroad tracks. A deputy's job is all-encompassing.
Wow.
So a lot of times when we would like to do a lot more community policing, we just can't. We don't have the manpower because the deputies have to answer calls for service. We just can't let those calls sit. So we're hoping that some of the things that we currently do now can get better in the long run by adding more people and leveraging technology. As far as the jail is concerned, the biggest problem with the jail is training, keeping staff. We have to be able to train people and adequately and then keep the staff. So we got to stabilize the jail as far as the scheduling, as far as keeping good employees. But again, we run into another problem, and that is a lot of people pay a lot of money to go to the academy. They don't want to be stuck down in the jail. If they get a job offer where they're working the road, Highway Patrol, Jackson City Police Department, or Capitol Police, or any one of those agencies, a lot of times they take it. Yeah. So it's hard to keep staff down there. So we have to come out, we have to come up with something else, another way to make the jail a pleasurable place to work scheduling wise so that people might want to stay.
Absolutely. John, can you add anything to that?
It's hard to prioritize because there's 3 or 4 big issues out there. Recruiting and retention of individuals is huge right now. With the slump or with the issues going on with law enforcement, it's hard to attract people to even come apply for the positions like we used to in the past. And then once we get them, it's like Gary was talking about, is be able to retain them and be able to keep them here. You get a lot of people that come here and work part-time. Part-timers are always looking for another job. And then you have, because they're wanting the benefits. And then you have those, like Gary said, that have worked hard and gotten their degrees, or not their degrees, but their certification, and they want to go out and work the road. So sometimes they'll take a pay cut just to be able to go out and work the road. Wow. So we have to do something better for the recruiting and retention. And that's nationwide. That's not just us, but that's nationwide. Everybody's having those issues. Technology, I think we're not doing, I'd like to see CAD get back in the vehicles, but we're not doing too bad on some of that. We have put some new cameras in the cars now. We have body cams that hopefully will be coming out by the end of September. So there's several things that we're doing that I think is advancing us technology-wise. The other one is the community. I'd like to get back out in the community better. The Neighborhood Watch program I'd like to increase 3-fold. I think Neighborhood Watch really works. The crime prevention is a huge interest to me, and I think that's where it's at. There is no such thing as a silver bullet. If people are looking for a silver bullet, there's not one sitting up here, there's not one anywhere. Not one program is going to do any good. It's a multitude of these programs that are going to do the good. You got to have Council for Drug Free Youth out there. You got to have RACs. You got to have, those are all the organizations that you need to help to get crime down, suppress down. You need to help to get those things going. To enrich people's lives better so they feel better about themselves so they're not going out and committing these crimes. So I think the Taos-Wardsville position, it's a great program that we've had. It's been voted in every time. It's hugely popular. And then I'd like to get more of those programs going. I'd like to see St. Martin's perhaps team up with Russellville or something similar to that, to be able to get another one of those out there. We can't take one of the deputies we have patrolling and have them go work those townships, because then you're taken away from the rest of the county. We have to hire somebody new if you want those positions. That way we're not taking away anything from the rest of the county. So I think we have a multitude of issues that need to be addressed. I don't know of any one that's more important than the other, other than ensuring that our people have the equipment and that they're safe and they're going home every night.
Right. Well, so we've got about a minute left, so I'll give you 30 seconds each. If that's enough time, it's not, I know. But tell us anything else that we, the people who are going to be voting in this election, what's the date of the election?
August 2nd.
August 2nd. And tell us what we, the people, need to know in order to be able to vote. Or should know in order to be able to vote for each of you. And anybody can go first, doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm running for sheriff. I promised moral, ethical decision making. I promised fiscal responsibility as a department as a whole. I promise to be as transparent as I possibly can. These are the things that I think my experience, my past is going to help me with the vision and for as completing. Your past doesn't make you. It makes you who you are today. So, and I think my past with the military, working for both municipal and county, the degree, the multitude of hours of training that we've had, I just think that gives me a good vision, a good eye on what the sheriff of Cole County needs to be.
Thank you. Gary?
I'm running for sheriff, and I will never promise the people anything that I can't deliver on. Because, again, working through 4 administrations, I know how things work. I know how when you ask for things, but I will never promise the people anything that I can't deliver on. Working through the 4 administrations, you can see my track record as far as who I am, what I've done for the county. You can see, you can talk to people as far as how I've helped them, how I've been involved in the community. You can also see that through either my website or through any of the social media sites that I'm on. I've worked my way to be in this position as far as going out and making sure that I have all the training I need to be chief executive officer of an agency, preferably sheriff. And I made sure that so that when the Cole County voters go out and they vote, again, they can make an informed decision on what they feel they want their sheriff to have in a first-class county. So that's who I am.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I certainly appreciate you both taking the time out of your day in order to be here. I think that allowing people the opportunity to learn not just more about the role of the sheriff in Cole County, but also who you are, will allow us to participate much better in the election on August the 2nd.
Absolutely.
Thank you both.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Gary. My pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the Rod Chappell Show. We're looking forward to seeing you again soon. Please remember, go out and vote on August the 2nd.